Okay, so we're going to pick up where we left off on volcanoes. A volcano is a mountain built from magma or melted rock that rises from the Earth's interior to the surface. At that point, it is lava and can occur on land or in the sea. Volcanoes are often located near tectonic plate boundaries where plates are either either colliding or separating from one another. So a lot of times it's because you got this oceanic plate that's a little thinner and it subducts or goes underneath, is pushed underneath the heavier, more rigid and dense continental shelf. And where it's subducting, you have all that extra melting, and that rises to the top, creating these volcanoes. The majority of the world's active volcanoes on land are located along these tectonic plate boundaries that surround the Pacific Ocean, going back to what I was mentioning a moment ago. They all form this, what we call the ring of fire, where you can see all along here, you've got the Pacific Ocean plate subducting. In many of these places, that plate is subducting underneath the continental plates, forming these volcanoes. As far as the effects, locally, you can have a lot of hot ash, dust, gases that can flow down the slope of the volcano at speeds of up to 160 kilometers per hour. So you can say, you're not going to outrun that. And it sears everything in their path. During an eruption, volcanic ash can mix with water and produce mud flows that runs downhill that can often cause as much or even more damage than the volcanic blast itself. In addition, the ash will fall onto the ground, causing buildings to collapse from under the weight of all that ash. It'll bury the crops and damage engines of vehicles because that air intake on those engines are getting nothing but ash and causing breathing difficulties as well. The global effects of a volcanic eruption would be, for instance, changing the Earth's climate for up to several years. And a large eruption, clouds of volcanic ash and sulfur-rich gases can reach the upper atmospheres and can spread across the planet, reducing the amount of sunlight. So just because you're nowhere near a volcano doesn't mean it can't affect you. The amount of sunlight that reaches, it'll affect the amount of sunlight that reaches the Earth's surface, blocking that and causing a little mini ice age in some cases. The reduction of that sunlight can drop the global average temperatures. Earth's surface is continually battered by, so we're going to switch gears. We're going into erosion and weathering. Erosion is, basically, it's caused by continually battering by winds and scoured by running water, all kinds of things, which moves rocks around and changes their appearance. There's two main types of erosion. There's the chemical weathering, which is a process in which the material of Earth's surface is loosened or dissolved or run away, because as it's raining, that water can dissolve the rocks, some of them, and also acid rain, even more so, causing things like limestone to erode, dissolve, if you will. And then there is mechanical erosion. They didn't mention that it's called mechanical, but basically transporting that material from one place to another by a natural agent such as wind, water, ice, or gravity. We call it erosion from it breaking down in that point of origin to deposition, which is all that material being deposited or left somewhere else, moved to somewhere else. Weathering and erosion wearing down rocks and makes them smoother as time passes. Older mountains are therefore smoother than younger ones. Water erosion can be by both rivers and oceans and can produce a dramatic effect on Earth's surface, changing Earth's surface. Waves from ocean storms can erode coastlines and give rise a variety of landforms, such as sandbars, such as ripples, if you're talking about tiny changes, and cliffs, sea cliffs. Sorry, went one too far. Over time, rivers can carve deep gorges into the landscape. Take the Grand Canyon, for instance. Wind erosion also changes the landscape of the planet as well, more so in areas where you have less vegetation, because then that stuff can easily be blown away, like in deserts and beaches. Soft rocks, such as sandstone, the type of material the rock's made of, can also affect how easily the wind can erode it. And that's how we conclude. Be sure you get your notes on there and turn those in.